You know how sometimes the biggest surprises come in the smallest packages? Well, this story's kind of like that, except it's about the world's biggest sailing yacht and one of the richest men on Earth. Let me tell you about Jeff Bezos, the guy who started Amazon, where your parents probably buy everything from toothpaste to toys, and his incredible boat called Koru. This isn't just any boat, though. It's a floating palace that costs more money than most people could spend in 100 lifetimes, and it became the center of one of the most surprising news stories ever. It all started when Jeff Bezos decided he wanted the most amazing yacht in the world. Now Jeff is super rich, like so rich that he could buy a new car every day for the rest of his life and still have money left over. He's the guy who built Amazon from a small online bookstore into the giant company it is today, and he also has a space company called Blue Origin that shoots rockets into the sky. So when Jeff decided he wanted a yacht, you can bet it wasn't going to be just any ordinary boat. He went to some of the best boat builders in the world, in a place called the Netherlands, and told them to build him something spectacular. The boat they built is called Koru, which is a special word from New Zealand that means new beginnings and growth, kind of like when a fern plant starts to unfurl its leaves. And boy, did they build something special. Koru is absolutely massive. It's 417 feet long, which means if you laid it down next to a football field, it would be longer than the field itself. It has 3 giant poles called masts that stick up into the sky, reaching 230 feet high. That's taller than a 20-story building. These aren't just for show either. They actually help the boat sail using wind power, which is pretty cool because it means the boat can move without using as much fuel, which is better for the environment. The boat is so big that when they finished building it, they had a problem. It was too tall to fit under a historic bridge in Rotterdam, a city in the Netherlands. So what did they do? They actually took apart part of the bridge, moved the boat through, and then put the bridge back together. Can you imagine having something so big that they had to take apart a bridge just so you could get it to the water? The outside of Koru looks like something from a movie about pirates or sea adventures, but way fancier. It's painted dark blue like the deep ocean, with white parts that make it look elegant and classic. On the deck there's a huge swimming pool that seems to go on forever, plus several hot tubs where people can relax and look out at the ocean. There's even a special platform at the back that can be lowered down to the water level so people can swim or use jet skis or other water toys. And speaking of toys, Koru has everything you could imagine. Jet skis, diving equipment, small sailing boats, and even a submarine that can go deep underwater to explore. Inside the yacht is where things get really fancy, though not many people have seen it because Jeff likes to keep his private life private. But from what people know, it's decorated with beautiful wood and comfortable furniture. Not flashy and gold like some rich people's houses, but more like a really, really nice home. There are multiple living rooms, a dining room big enough for 20 people to eat together, and several lounges with glass walls that can open up so you feel like you're outside even when you're inside. One of the coolest parts is a movie theater that has special technology to keep it steady even when the boat is rocking on the waves, so watching a movie feels just like being in a regular theater on land. There's also a spa with a sauna, massage, rooms, and a gym where people can exercise while looking out at the ocean. The gym even has special equipment that can turn the energy from people working out into electricity for the boat. How cool is that? But Koru isn't alone on its adventures. It travels with a second smaller yacht called Abiona that carries extra supplies, more crew members, and even has a helicopter landing pad. Think of it like having a support team that follows you around to make sure you have everything you need. This support boat is 246 feet long, which would be huge for most people, but next to Koru it looks like a little brother. Now because Jeff is so famous and rich, lots of other famous people want to hang out on his yacht. His fiancée Lauren Sanchez, who used to be on TV and knows how to fly helicopters, spends a lot of time on Koru, and even helped design parts of the inside. They've had all sorts of celebrities visit. Movie stars like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, singers like Rihanna and Katy Perry, and even action movie star Tom Cruise. When these famous people get together on the yacht, it's like the ultimate VIP party floating on the ocean. But here's where our story takes a really unexpected turn. One day, while Koru was floating peacefully near the coast of Italy, someone called the FBI, that's like the super police who investigate really important crimes, and told them they thought Jeff might be doing something wrong with his yacht. The person who called said they thought Jeff was using Koru to have secret business meetings about Amazon while floating in international waters, which might be against the rules. Now, even though Jeff had stepped down from being the main boss of Amazon, he was still involved with the company, so this was a serious accusation. The FBI decided they needed to check this out, so they made a plan to board the yacht and look around. Can you imagine? One morning, Jeff and his guests were probably eating breakfast and enjoying the sunshine, when suddenly, an official boat pulled up next to them. Out stepped FBI agents in their suits and badges, looking very serious and official. They politely told Jeff they needed to search the yacht because of a tip they had received about possible business rule breaking. Jeff, being the smart businessman he is, stayed calm and told them they were welcome to look around because he had nothing to hide. The agents began searching the entire yacht, room by room, looking for any evidence that Jeff had been conducting secret Amazon business meetings. They checked every office space, looked at computers and phones, examined calendars and notes, and even asked the guests if they had ever attended any business meetings on the boat. The guests thought this was pretty funny. One of them even joked that the only business happening on the yacht was deciding what flavor of gelato to have from the actual gelato bar on board. The agents weren't laughing, though. They were doing their job very seriously. They searched through luxury bedrooms, fancy dining areas, entertainment rooms, and all the high-tech spaces on the yacht. But everything they found just looked like what you'd expect on a vacation boat: games, movies, comfortable furniture, and places to relax. They weren't finding any evidence of secret business meetings or rule breaking. Then something amazing happened. When the agents reached a particular room tucked away in the middle of the yacht, they stopped in their tracks. What they found wasn't what anyone expected, especially not them. Instead of finding a secret boardroom or office space, they discovered something completely different. A cozy family room that looked nothing like the rest of the fancy yacht. This room was warm and comfortable, filled with things that showed how much Jeff loved his family. There were photo frames everywhere with pictures of Jeff and his children, some old and some new, clearly very special to him. The shelves were filled with books, not business books, but stories and books about life and growing as a person. There were board games scattered on a wooden table, including Uno cards and a chess set that looked like it had been used many times. The floor had a soft rug, and by the window hung a simple sign that said, 1 hour every single day. This sign represented something very important to Jeff. No matter how busy he gets with work or business, he promises to spend at least 1 hour every single day just with his family, with no work, no phone calls, no emails, just being together and having fun. The FBI agent stood there looking at this room, and you could tell they were surprised. Here was one of the richest men in the world, on a yacht worth $500 million, and the most important room to him was this simple, cozy space dedicated to spending time with his kids. There were handwritten notes from his children, artwork they had made when they were younger, and games they played together. It wasn't fancy or expensive looking, it was just full of love and family memories. After searching the entire yacht for several hours, the FBI agents finished their investigation. They didn't find any evidence of wrongdoing, didn't take anything with them, and didn't charge Jeff with any crimes. The tip they had received turned out to be completely wrong. But the story was just beginning to spread around the world, and it wasn't spreading because Jeff got in trouble. It was spreading because of what the agents had found instead. When news reporters heard about the FBI boarding Jeff's yacht, they immediately thought it was going to be a huge scandal. Newspapers and TV shows prepared dramatic headlines about the world's second richest man being investigated. But when they learned what the agents actually discovered, that simple, loving family room, the story took a completely different turn. Instead of writing about scandal and wrongdoing, reporters found themselves writing about something much more surprising: a billionaire who actually practiced what he preached about family being important. Social media went absolutely crazy with the story. People on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms couldn't believe what they were hearing. Many people think of Jeff Bezos as just a super rich businessman who only cares about making money. But this story showed a totally different side of him. Comments poured in from people saying things like, "I came here expecting to read something bad about Bezos, but this actually made me respect him more," and "It turns out the richest guy in the world is actually living the work-life balance he talks about." Even people who usually criticize wealthy people found themselves impressed. The story got millions of likes, shares, and comments, with people discussing how amazing it was that someone with all the money and power in the world still made sure to spend quality time with his family every single day. Parenting experts started talking about Jeff's 1-hour rule on TV shows, explaining how powerful it is to have dedicated, uninterrupted time with your children, no matter how busy you are. Business experts said this story might actually help people see Jeff in a more positive light, showing that he's not just about making money but also about being a good dad. The whole thing became such a big deal that people started calling it the Koru hour rule, and many parents began trying to follow Jeff's example of setting aside 1 hour each day just for their kids. Even the books that were spotted in Jeff's Family room became popular. People wanted to read the same books that one of the world's most successful people was reading with his family. The internet being the internet, people also made lots of funny memes and jokes about the situation, with pictures saying things like, "This room made the FBI say, okay, Dad of the Year," and plot twist, "Bezos is a better work-life balance coach than your HR department." But beyond all the jokes and social media buzz, something deeper was happening. People were starting to see Jeff Bezos differently. For years, he'd been seen mainly as a business mogul focused on building his empire and making money. But this story revealed something more human about him. That despite having more wealth than most people could ever imagine, he still prioritized the simple, important things like spending time with his children and being present in their lives. The whole situation started people thinking about what really matters in life. Here was someone who could buy literally anything he wanted, travel anywhere, do anything, and yet the most important space on his incredibly expensive yacht was a simple room filled with family games and photos. It made people ask themselves, if someone with all the money in the world still makes time for family the most important thing, what excuse do the rest of us have for not doing the same? The story also showed that sometimes our assumptions about people, especially famous or wealthy people, can be completely wrong. Many people expected to hear about scandal and rule-breaking, but instead they learned about love, family values, and making time for what matters most. It reminded everyone that behind all the business success and wealth, Jeff Bezos is also just a dad who wants to spend time with his kids and make sure they know they're important to him. In the end, what started as a potentially embarrassing situation for Jeff Bezos turned into one of the most heartwarming celebrity stories in recent memory. The FBI agents who boarded his yacht expecting to find evidence of wrongdoing instead discovered something beautiful, proof that even someone with unlimited resources chooses to prioritize the same things that matter to families everywhere: love, time together, and being present for the people who matter most. And maybe that's the most surprising thing of all. Not that a rich person has an amazing yacht, but that they use it to create a space where the most valuable thing isn't money or luxury, but simply being together as a family 1 hour at a time.